Welcome back everyone, it's Charlie. This will be my full Invincible Season 4 Episode 7 video. There were so many WTF moments, so many Easter eggs and references to the comics, so we will break it all down. Everybody cue up the music. Optimus Prime Thaedus is telling the Coalition team to roll out. We make a lot of Transformers jokes because Peter Cullen has been playing Thaedus on the show and it's been amazing, but another really cool Transformers Easter egg in this episode is that they got Frank Welker to voice Argyle, who is the voice of Megatron during Transformers. Robert Kirkman said that Transformers in general is like one of his great loves of his life. He grew up with Gen 1 back in the day and just continued collecting over the years, even before he got rich. Currently, his Skybound even publishes Transformers comic books. So when it came time to cast Thaedus on the show, he saw the opportunity to do the fanboy thing and cast Peter Cullen, so I think he always planned low-key to cast Frank Welker as Argyle, just hoping that it would work out when it came time to use him on the show. And one of the cool things about the show that they do get to spend more time in these flashbacks that they didn't get to do in the comics, so we do actually get all these Argyle scenes, all these Viltrumite flashbacks that we did not see in the original comic. And there were a couple moments when Argyle did go full Megatron. The episode was titled Don't Do Anything Rash, which is a reference to something that Cecil actually said to Mark later in the comics, like beyond the events of the plot that they're covering on the show right now, at the end of issue number 87, while Mark was being hunted by the government. The cold open starts with a flashback to the Viltrumites thousands of years ago before Thaedus killed Argyle to show you how and why he did that. So it's like the Omni-Man flashback that we got showing his backstory too in a previous episode. Robert Kirkman said that this was meant to be kind of like a Viltrumite season of Invincible, and this is just the beginning too. We will dig way deeper into Viltrumite history across future seasons too. Like there are a lot of things that they still have not revealed that they actually tease in this episode. I'll try to point them out, but one of the problems is that it's hard to talk about those without talking about the comics, and that gets a little ahead of the story where they're at right now. But if you have read the comics, there were like a couple specific moments in this episode where they're really trying to tell you a bunch of things that they haven't outright said out loud on the show yet. We see the Viltrumites watching over a conquered race of Rolonians growing some kind of liquid, some sort of farming-based planet. They begin rebelling, then their military council discusses how to deal with them as it's been happening more and more often. There are a couple familiar faces here in the council. General Craig, but he's much younger. Thaedus looks a little bit younger, not that much younger. Remember, as Viltrumites get older, they actually slow aging, and so they're functionally immortal, like they'll just keep going. So at a certain point, it's kind of hard to tell who the oldest Viltrumite is, but Argyle seems like he's much older than all the other Viltrumites. We also see a younger version of Thragg, who is their regent because he was raised to be the strongest Viltrumite. This also raises a couple questions too that we'll address. Probably one of the biggest ones is the reason why Argyle would have a regent, even though he's still a sitting emperor, he's still very active ruling the empire, is because he either doesn't know if he has any heirs that are alive, or generally they don't know where they are. In the comics, he did have multiple children, but most Viltrumites believe that they were all killed by the Scourge virus eventually, but obviously on the show during this scene, that hasn't happened yet. So they're probably just saving that story for a future episode, like if Argyle knows that he has a child out there somewhere, why isn't the child by his side? But like most regents, Thragg is not in line to become the next emperor, just to take care of the throne and the duties of day-to-day ruling the empire until Argyle's heir can be found.
I now assume the throne as Grand Regent of Viltrum until one of Argyle's heirs can be found.
There are a lot of teasers for who that heir is during this episode. I don't want to talk too much about it because it kind of gets ahead of the story, and they might actually reveal that in the finale, or maybe tease it in the finale. But it did seem weird to me that Thragg is already regent if there is an heir out there somewhere and they know there is one. Like, why does Argyle not know where his heir is? When they start arguing about how to deal with the rebellious race, Thaedus tries to argue for a peaceful solution, which everybody seems like they absolutely hate. Argyle is really pissed off. Orders that 25% of the planet be killed, and if the rebellion continues, kill the entire race. So Argyle is just like this on the regular. Later, he and Thragg discuss what to do about Thaedus, with Argyle basically giving him the okay to kill him if he thinks that he should, but it makes it seem like Thragg doesn't want to kill Thaedus, like he respects him too much at this point. We get a little more Thaedus history as well too. Thragg says that they fought in the same company at Capita Minor. He names a number of other planets in the universe that they fought on, complimenting Thaedus as one of the most powerful soldiers. It just sounds like he respects him a lot. But Thaedus started to act more like he does now, looking to pacify their culture more, be more merciful, after returning from spending many years in the Leg Quadrant, just a different part of the universe. Presumably, his time amongst the people who live there changed him the same way that Omni-Man was changed through his experience with Debbie and Mark over the last 20 years. We then see Thaedus try to kill Argyle using a Viltrumite bone weapon because their bodies are stronger than metal, so he could only split Argyle's skull like that with another piece of a Viltrumite. The best weapon to kill a Viltrumite is another Viltrumite. We actually see that happen a couple times in this episode and in the previous episodes, with them skewering each other several times. But R.I.P. Emperor Argyle, they put him in the casket. We find out that the casket is kept in front of the throne with Argyle's skull on top of it, so Thragg literally sits on the throne and looks at it 24/7 all the time. In the comics, he also talks to the skull all the time too. You also notice Thragg as Regent has changed into his red uniform. All is ours is their people's motto. Thaedus believed killing Argyle would cause the Viltrumites to become a more benevolent people, but Thragg here only doubles down on the violence in strength and starts the Great Purge, killing one of the random Viltrumites on the council to get things started. Like, let me kick this party off. Basically telling them to eliminate all weakness from their race, leading to the deaths of half their population. We got some of this narrated by Omni-Man during Season 1 when he explained the true history of their race to Mark, trying to rebuild an even more hardcore civilization through combat. Speaking of which, thank you to Heroes of History for sponsoring this video. There are many superheroes across history like Abraham Lincoln, Hercules. Asking who would win in a fight sounds crazy, but in Heroes of History, you can actually play that out, and they have set the challenge to assemble your team across the timeline and build a civilization through combat. Heroes of History is a strategic city-building and hero-collecting game featuring famous historical and mythological characters like Einstein, Cleopatra, Hercules. Players grow their cities, power up legendary heroes, and battle in real time across solo and multiplayer modes. Some are worth 5 stars, some 4 stars, some 3, but if you only had 15 stars to spend, who actually makes the best team of heroes to fight the others? That is the challenge. It's all about strategy, fighting smarter, not harder, so let me know in the comments who your perfect 15-star team of heroes would be. Really, I just love being able to assemble any kind of team I want across the timeline. From March 11th to April 28th, there'll be a huge in-game event, Ancient Egypt. Players will step with Cleopatra into the Valley of the Kings to defend the Egyptian timeline. Meet new event-limited heroes, Tutankhamun and Nefertiti. Join the Ancient Egypt event to face Anubis. Log into the game and get a limited hero, Tutankhamun. The hero won't be available after this event is over. You can download Heroes of History for free, and who knows, if you win, maybe they'll make you the next hero of history. Make sure to use my link in the description and enter the promo code. I'll put it up here on screen. You can also scan this QR code here on screen to get the Anubis Awakening Starter Pack, and you can claim all the free rewards listed on here too. Many thanks to Heroes of History for sponsoring this video, and have fun playing the game. By the time they reach the end, only the most hardcore have survived, like Conquest. Here we get a little extra Conquest scene, who did not want to stop. If he had not been stopped by Thragg, he would have just continued killing every single other Viltrumite until he was the only one left. It even kind of seemed like when Thragg ordered him to stop, Conquest almost thought to attack Thragg until he thought better of it, because Thragg is way more powerful than Conquest. You can kind of see the gears turning in his head too, like, could I actually kill him? No? Okay, I'll stop now then. He then declares Argyle's heirs need to be found while he sits on the throne, and we see a young Omni-Man in the crowd, if you couldn't tell, while they all start fighting, so he's alive during this period too. But remember, this is earlier in the timeline before his lesson in front of Argyle's statue. That statue hasn't been built while the Great Purge was happening. And there is so much fighting that goes on during this, it just starts raining blood, like that's how crazy it gets. One of the other crazy things that you'll notice is that Omni-Man here obviously much younger than Thragg, but if you look in present day, Thragg doesn't look like he's aged a day. Omni-Man looks like he's way older than him. That might just be because of pure genetics, like he was raised to be the strongest Viltrumite for a reason. Or maybe it's just all of his battles that aged him a little bit faster, because when he's still on Viltrum before he's come to planet Earth on his mission, his hair has already turned part white. They then build Argyl's statue, and Thragg dedicates the Viltrumites to conquering the rest of the universe again, keeping Argyl's skull on the dais, and it sits here all the time, like I said, for centuries, and he just talks to it all the time. One of the other cool things you probably noticed too is that this scene here at the end of The Purge is actually the same scene that we saw during Omni-Man's Explainer during Season 1. They just animated a bunch of these extra scenes, just made like a way bigger scene. We then go back to present day on Telescria, and Thaedus tells them that Thragg and the other handful of Viltrumites that they just fought have retreated to the planet Viltrum with the larger body of Viltrumites still on their way back from other places in the universe, so now is the best time to attack them at the planet before the rest of their forces can return home, because there's no way they could defeat 50 Viltrumites all working together. Thaedus believes that if they can kill Thragg, the rest of the Viltrumites will lose cohesion and start to fight each other like they used to during the Purge. And that would just be way easier to pick off one at a time. Also the idea too, this is a running theme across the episode because Omni-Man gets very concerned about it, that Thaedus wants to kill every single last Viltrumite. And that also includes half Viltrumites like Mark and Oliver, which is what gives Omni-Man pause. But at least at the end of the episode, it's a moot point because Thaedus is dead, so he doesn't have to worry about that anymore. There are other bigger things to worry about, like all the Viltrumites going to planet Earth. Then I think that Robert Kirkman let Thaedus have the title treatment this week because it's Peter Cullen's last episode because he gets killed off of the show. So we're going to give him like the real big title reveal. And when he says it, enough of the title breaks away to show you something traveling through space, but it doesn't look like anything. I think based on the episode's ending, it's meant to be Thragg and the other Viltrumites flying to Earth. Like everybody make a real quick beeline to planet Earth. Mark then records a message for Adam Eve, not sure if he's going to survive, which he does at the end of the episode. Obviously, they're not going to kill him off. There's so much comics that are still out there. It's pretty easy to tell who's going to survive some of these things. Like there's a lot of plot armor on Mark right now. But there have been a couple big comic book changes in the way they pace this out, like the timeline. In the comics, Mark was gone from Earth for over 10 months. On the show, they say it's closer to like 2 months. We will see how this affects some of the things that were happening back on Earth while he was away, because there's a lot of really messed up stuff that was happening, especially with Adam Eve's baby. We get a little moment of the team bonding over snacks and food, and then Thaedus talks to Omni-Man, worried about the other Viltrumites, and this is where they set up the whole idea that Omni-Man is worried that eventually Thaedus is going to come try and kill Mark and Oliver too, in addition to the other Viltrumites. Like, there are some bad ones that we need to get rid of, but I don't want to kill every single Viltrumite, and Thaedus is like, no, we have to kill every single one. So it's kind of like they tried to make Thaedus seem like he had gotten too entrenched in his line of thought, too hardcore, and there might be a better way to actually make peace with the Viltrumites eventually. But they still have to kill Thragg, like they still have to deal with Thragg. He's the big problem right now. Nobody's going to be making any kind of deals with any Viltrumites until Thragg is dealt with. When they do their big Autobots rollout, coalition rollout moment, Thaedus goes suns out, guns out.
Autobots, transform and roll out!
They leave the ship at Viltrum, and I love the way they frame this too, because you can see in the background the dead rings around the planet, explaining it to Oliver. Omni-Man says the reason why they created that particular ring of bodies, like why would they do that, was to serve as a reminder of their weakness every time they left or returned to the planet. So a lot of their race is based on shaming themselves to try and make themselves stronger. They then reveal that Thula survived, she's back, she draws first blood on Thaedus, and their beetle poison works to weaken them enough for Alan to easily rip them apart with a punch, and we get a couple smaller fights, but really like the big stuff is Thragg and everybody that he fights in the episode, and obviously the destruction of the planet itself. Like that's where most of the budget went. My only real complaint about the actual fight scenes here is that they didn't really let Tech Jacket have any great fight scenes. She was more of like a support role during the entire fight, with only like a couple swings that she took at different people. Comic book Tech Jacket just gets way more involved, fights way more, and is way more powerful in general. Space Racer shows up. Thragg seems totally unbothered by his Infinity Ray. Like there's just Infinity Ray beams flying all over the place, and Thragg could care less. He also brings the Ragnars, unleashing them, who are strong enough to kill the Viltrumites without the help of the darts to weaken them. And a lot of this early part of the fight is basically Thragg spanking everybody that comes after him. First Omni-Man, then eventually Mark, then eventually Oliver, pretty much anybody that gets in his way. Even Battle Beast tries to take a swing at him, and he just kind of swats him aside like, no, not now, later. Do not worry, we will see Thragg versus Battle Beast eventually. Thragg then slaps Omni-Man down to the planet, and when he lands in front of Argyl's statue, it's meant to be a callback to the flashback we saw from him when he reached his age of maturity and fought his parents in front of the statue. And there's also a lot of deeper meaning to the two of them fighting in front of Argyl's statue that we can't really talk about yet without getting into spoilers. Like I said, they might tease what that is in the finale, or maybe they'll just wait till next season to dig into that. There's a lot of extra Viltrumite history and lore that Omni-Man himself does not know yet that he will eventually learn, and a lot of it has to do with Argyl's line. Thragg tries to get Omni-Man to turn to his side again, not be against his people. He also gives him pause when he reminds him that if Thaedus does win, he will eventually try to kill his sons, Mark and Oliver. We get a real quick moment of Anissa versus Mark, and she thrashes him, still more powerful than Mark at this point. We get a much longer scene of Omni-Man and Thragg that continue their argument over Argyl's body, like they're literally here at the casket with his skull here. This is also just loaded with all kinds of meaning and pathos that we can get into once they actually do some bigger reveals on the show in the future, but just open up a tab in Chrome for that. Robert Kirkman knows exactly what he's doing, teasing all this stuff. But I believe this super punch that Thragg gives Omni-Man isn't something we've seen him do in the comics. Like, he draws so much force around the punch that it sucks in the air as he punches him into space. Crushes Oliver's hand, destroys the bottom half of his jaw, and Mark reveals that he killed Conquest, actually causing all the Viltrumites on the battlefield to pause for just a hot second. Even Anissa seems impressed. Mark is definitely going to regret her look of interest. Even Thragg is impressed and lets Mark punch him at full strength and even leans into the punch, but it does not even faze him, doesn't even move one of his hairs. Love the animation on this too, because it's from the trailer with the impact frames, making Thragg seem even more like the devil than the real devil on Earth. Omni-Man then gets the idea to use Space Razor's Infinity Ray to help them destroy the planet, so they use the ray to sort of burrow a small tunnel, creating an opening for them, and the three of them form a combiner. Make all the Transformers references you want. They form a combiner transformer with the three of them flying through the planet to push it apart the rest of the way. There are a lot of questions about this too, like wouldn't the Infinity Ray be strong enough to destroy the planet by itself? We saw it destroy a sun. Technically, I think it only works in certain ways, like the way it works on the actual planet is it just creates the hole through it. It doesn't completely destroy it. They had to actually push the crust apart. And part of the idea is that Nolan wanted to end the planet because he thought of it nothing more than a tomb, and the Viltrumites would never be able to move forward while it still existed. But you also notice once they do make it out of the planet, and once the planet is completely destroyed, the ring of dead Viltrumites is still there. They're all just like floating around, waiting right there. Like nothing's going to happen to them. They're just going to stay there. All the animation for this sequence was great. You can definitely tell they dumped a lot of their budget into this. It is also right out of the comics too, but because the show has so much more time, they've expanded on it like it's much bigger than it was in the original comics. So RIP to Planet Viltrum, you had a good death. Thragg then retaliates by ripping off Thaedus' head, declaring Argyl has been avenged, goes after Omni-Man next, almost kills him. Mark tries to stop him, but he's not strong enough yet, and Thragg vows to kill Omni-Man slowly. Skewers him the same way that Conquest did to Mark, so he's basically left the same guts-out state that Mark was last episode. Knocks Mark out, crushes his eyes, but before squishing his skull, notice that he stops for a second when he sees the dead planet. Part of me also feels like him holding Mark's skull like that is a bit of a wink at future comic book history they'll reveal about the Viltrumites. When the other Viltrumites ask him why he spared Mark, he says that he doesn't want to see more Viltrumites, like enough Viltrumites are dead. But I also think there's something else that he did not say. There's another reason why he spared Mark. He then orders the remaining Viltrumites to attack Earth, begins plans to conquer it, then interbreed and begin repopulating the Viltrumite race. So the idea is that now that they do not have their own planet anymore, Earth is now their new planet. We get a time jump of a couple weeks while they regain consciousness. Alan has been named the new head of the coalition now that Thaedus is dead, and everyone is pretty fine, just a couple extra city miles on them, still healing a little bit. But the reason why nobody can locate the Viltrumites is because they have gone to Earth. Thus, the title screen, I think, the careening through space behind the Invincible title is the Viltrumites on their way to Earth. In another interesting twist, there is no post-credits scene this time. So what it seems like will happen is the finale will be more of like an epilogue to this season, because this episode 7 was like the real big battle. There might be a little fighting when they get to Earth, but I do think that the actual real big fighting is done for the season. They also do pacing like this on Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon all the time. Like back in the day, Game of Thrones, typically their big WTF battle episode was the penultimate episode, then the finale was like the aftermath of the big battle, and they'd continue that on House of the Dragon. So it'll probably be a similar vibe in the Invincible finale next week. Everyone post all your reactions in the comments below, and if you spotted any Easter eggs or references to the comics or anything else that I didn't talk about during the video, just write them below in the comments. My full episode 8 finale video will post next week after they release it. Big reminder that next week is the finale, so be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. We also have a bunch of other trailers coming from CinemaCon, so I'm trying to work through all those videos as quickly as possible. As long as you check back on my channel a couple times a day, you should see me update those videos as I do post them. Everybody click here for that finale video. I'll update the link as soon as I post it, and click here for all my other Invincible episodes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.